Good afternoon, everyone. It is 6:02, and we will now call to order the April 13th Durant City Council meeting. We'd like to welcome everyone here today, and as is James in the room?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll ask James Dalton to lead us in the invocation and remain standing, and Danny Sherrill will lead in our flag salute.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day, the breath of life you give us, the health you give us. We thank you for where we live, Father. Lord, we pray that you give our council wisdom tonight as we look at these issues that impact our city. Lord, we thank you for their service. Lord, we just pray that we do things as it should be done in the Lord's will. Lord, we thank you for our families. We lift them up to you. We lift our service people up who are serving around the world, and we pray for their safety. Thank you for every good thing again in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Our first order of business is announcement of our Employee Service Awards. We're not using our computer, so I guess we're going to just have to do it the old-fashioned way. Cindy, would you please call the roll?
Okay. Councilmember Shear.
Here.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Here.
Mayor Groby.
Here. We're all here. Okay, we will now go to order of business. Number one, announcement of employee service recipients for first quarter 2021. And we normally have them come up front, which I hope we can start doing in the next couple of months. But I would like to recognize those people. They have a combined 175 years of dedicated service to the city of Durant. The 5-year pen goes to Billy Sharp at the landfill. 10 years, Carrie Jones, Human Resources. John Argo, Fire Department. 15 years, James Dalton, Administration. Randy Cantrell, Water, Sewer, Line Maintenance. 20 years, Brad Nelson, Police Department. Cliff Wilson, Fire Department, also 20 years. 25 years, Gary McBride, Landfill. 25 years also, Raymond Stanley, Fire Department. 30 years, Mark Hall, Community Development. We want to congratulate all you employees for staying that long, so I think we ought to give everybody a hand. And let us know if you don't get your checks. Our next item on here is we have a proclamation declaring April 11 through 17, 2021 National Telecommunications Week, recognizing our 911 public safety communication specialists. We all know how valuable our 911 people are. So I'm going to read this proclamation. Whereas in appreciation of our men and women of the Durant Communications Center who are the first in the line of defense in any crisis needing the response of public safety, whether fire, police, or EMS. Whereas these dedicated professional 911 dispatchers serve as a lifeline to both citizens of Durant and Bryan County and to the public safety first responders. Whereas having a proper and swift 24/7 911 public safety answering point is vital to the safety and well-being of not only the residents of Bryan County, but to the mobile population, tourists, and visitors as well. Whereas the Durant Communications Center has been recognized as one of the leading 911 centers in the state of Oklahoma by the chairman of the Oklahoma State 911 Advisory Board. Whereas it is understood that it is the individual at each 911 workstation answering every call and responding to every need with understanding, courtesy, and respect that truly makes the difference. Now therefore, I, Odin Gruby, Mayor of the City of Durant, do hereby proclaim April 11th through the 17th of 2021 as National Telecommunications Week in the City of Durant. I do hereby further proclaim that the City of Durant supports the 911 Center and its mission of providing superior service in a timely, precise, and skilled manner. Witness my hand this 13th day of April 2021, Durant City Hall. Congratulations to all the 911 people, if there are any here. We appreciate you all.
Hear, hear.
Number 3, we have another proclamation. It is a Fair Housing Proclamation recognizing April 2021 as Fair Housing Month. Whereas the City of Durant decrees that all citizens affirm to follow the concepts, practices, and intent embodied by the laws of the United States of America, the State of Oklahoma, and the City of Durant in regard to fair housing, and whereas the City of Durant has designated the month of April annually as Fair Housing Month and encourages each citizen to implement the provisions of those acts, and whereas the Mayor of the City of Durant designates the Community Development Director as the Fair Housing Activities Coordinator and requests that any person or group of persons planning activities to promote fair housing to inform the Fair Housing Activities Coordinator of such activities. Whereas it is the desire of the City of Durant to recognize those persons or groups who best create an awareness of the needs for fair housing practices or otherwise promotes fair housing practices. Now therefore, I, Odin Gruby, Mayor of the City of Durant, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2021 as Fair Housing Month. Witness my hand this 13th day, April 2021, in the office of the Mayor, Durant City Hall. We got that one. Okay, now we move to item number 4, consent items. And I think we have items, so let's see, A through F. And any of these consent items can be pulled out by any council member, or we can vote on them as an entirety, as one vote. Does anyone wish to pull out any of these consent items? Do we have a motion that we accept the consent items?
Motion to approve consent items.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Gruby.
Aye. Motion carries. Our next item is item number 6, which is information, I hope, information items, which is the different reports from the different entities, the different department heads. If anyone has any questions, now's the time to ask. Anyone have any questions? If not, we'll move on to number 7, administration. A, discussion, consideration, and possible action on Ordinance O-2021-07, amending sections 72.05 and 72.35 of the Durant Code of Ordinances regarding parking, providing a repealer clause, and declaring an emergency. And 1 would be consider that section. And are you going to discuss this? Or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
As many of you know, we have issues on parking on the street, and this just attempts to clean up some of those issues that we have. Our emergency vehicles have issues getting down streets sometimes where we allow parking, where vehicles only have to have a 10-foot space. This would increase that to 12 feet. It also regulates, standardizes our distances from traffic signal, traffic control devices, such as stop signs. Currently, you can't park within 30 feet of the stop sign, the approach, but you can go right around the corner and park, which creates issues. This cleans that up and standardizes those distances. So hopefully our intersections will be much safer. It also prohibits you from parking trailers on streets or roadways. We have a significant issue with that as well. You can park a trailer on the street in front of your yard, but our ordinances don't allow you to move that trailer into your yard in front of your house. We have several things that conflict like that, so this cleans that up.
Is there any discussion?
John, do we need any, will there be any signage? Will we need to, or just enforcement, or?
Just enforcement, sir. I don't think there needs to be any additional signage. We're just trying to clean up the intersections and, like I said, the parking of trailers on the streets that become an issue with traffic flow.
Any further discussion?
Are these numbers, distances pretty much standard across the state?
They're typical. I wouldn't say they're standard across the state. Some of them are to the limit the state statute allows, like parking from a fire hydrant. The max distance we can do by ordinance is 30 feet. And so they can be anywhere from 15 to 30. At this time, we say 15 feet. So, but it moves that to 30 feet. So, again, an issue of parking and public safety.
Any other questions? Any further discussion? Call for the vote. I need a motion.
I move we approve item 7A, section 1.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. 7A2, consider section emergency clause. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, before the motion on that, you might make your motion to include sections 2 and 3. There's a section 3 in the ordinance that's the repealer. So since the first motion was just section 1, you might make your motion to include section 2 and 3 to get the emergency and the repealer.
Okay. So we need a motion. Mike?
I move we approve section 7, item A, 2, and 3, emergency clause and repealer.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. 7B, discussion, consideration, and possible action on ordinance O-2021-08, amending sections 51.75 and 51.76 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Durant regarding collection and disposal of construction debris and materials, providing a repealer clause and declaring an emergency. Number 1, consider section 1.
Yes, ma'am. This ordinance,
Your speaker's facing me.
it's okay. This ordinance would change the way we do our construction and debris for our roll-offs. Currently, they're supposed to have a permit for each roll-off that they place in the city. That is very cumbersome for the city and the contractor. This would change it to where they would have a $100 fee to get a permit, annual permit, which would be similar to the business license, and then they would be charged $30 additional for each roll-off dump at the landfill, which is the practice that had been done, similar to what had been done. But this would be for each roll-off that came across the scales, be it collected in city or out of city. That old fee was $25, but this would be $30, and it was only for those collected in town. But this would be for all of them that come across the scales. Again, whether it was in town or out of town made it difficult for staff to determine what was actually what. It was, a lot of it was on the honor system. So this removes all doubt, so.
Attorney Tom, can we do 1, 2, and 3 together or break it
You
up?
can do 1 and 3. Do 1 and 3, and then there'll be a separate vote on just the emergency.
I move we approve sections 1 and 3, your section listed and the emergency clause. And the repealer. 1 and 3.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number 2, consider section 2, emergency clause. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the emergency clause.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Will the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. We're down to number, I think,
C.
number C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on ordinance O 2021-09, amending sections 94.01 and 110.055 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Durant regarding the definition of salvage yards and junk yards, providing a repealer clause and declaring an emergency. Any discussion?
This ordinance clarifies the definition of junk yards and salvage yards. We've had an issue in the past where there is an issue with determining based on the current definition whether a record yard, which has to meet certain state requirements on maintaining vehicles and it just differentiates them in the junk yards and salvage yards. So, 'cause it has been an issue in the past, so.
Any questions, any discussion?
Move approval of C1 and 3.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Please record the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Item number D, 7D, discussion, consideration, and possible action to award bid to, oh, emergency clause. Need a motion.
Move approval of C2, emergency clause.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please record the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number D, discussion, consideration, and possible action to award bid to New Growth Group in the amount of $47,500 for grant consultation services for the Durant Industrial Authority. Miss Lisa.
Yes, ma'am. So at our regular monthly meeting last week, the Durant Industrial Authority members voted to select a bid from New Growth Group to provide grant consultant services to the Durant Industrial Authority. This would come from that 020 account, so it does not, will not be spent from the quarter-cent sales tax account. It will be from that other account. So we will be hiring this grant consultant to work with our local nonprofits as well as with the Durant Industrial Authority and the City of Durant in collaboration to identify projects that they would write grants for that would contribute to the growth of Durant. So I've been in discussions with John as well as with Becca, our city's grant writer, and they definitely would be at the table for all discussions to make sure that there's no duplication and to assure that we're not going after the same grant money that the City of Durant would be applying for.
Lisa, is that an annual contract?
contract or?
The contract, the terms of the contract would be that New Growth Group would work with us in identifying appropriate projects for grants. They would provide to us a forecast of what grant money or grants we should consider writing for that would go to the projects that we identify. And the contract also So the contract also would include the writing of 4 of those grant applications for us. Now, the cost to write the grant applications for the bidder that we've selected, it's a flat rate per grant with no additional cost if the grants are awarded. We did receive 2 bids. The other proposal stated a flat amount per grant that they write, plus a 2.5% of anything that we're awarded. So we did go with New Growth Group at the flat rate. They have, so I spoke with New Growth Group representatives, and they have stated that if we decide to hire them for additional grants during this year, that we could do so by paying per grant. It would be on a per grant that they write, and it would be based on how big the grant would be or how lengthy the application would be. So what they stated would all be federal or larger comprehensive grants that we would apply for, but they said that it would be much cheaper if they were writing the foundation grants, 1 or 2 page grants, things like that. So, and the DIA did accept this bid, and they did state that they want to have final approval over which grants we go after that would be one of those 4. So I'm just asking you all to support, or I guess to confirm that we can hire this contractor.
Do you have any personal experience or knowledge of this group?
Actually, I do. With this group, I've done a little bit of research, but this one here actually has successfully written several grants for the organization that I formerly was employed by. And I didn't know that until after we got into discussions. But, just a few months after I left my former employer, this company wrote a grant for that group, and they were awarded $750,000. And then they were recently, it's not been announced yet, but they wrote an additional grant for that same organization that was about $1 million for additional economic development activities. So, and I can't remember her last name, Robin, the lady that I spoke with, that's the lead grant writer. She has a background in economic development and working for downtown revitalization groups. And she stated that there are, grants that we can go after that would provide money for facade match grant funding, which could, contribute to what the city is already doing with our Main Street program. So, again, nothing guaranteed. We pay for their work to write the grants, and they've got a good track record. But there are no guarantees when you're writing grants.
Just another question.
Yes.
Kind of curious. Would this change the city's process of approval of grant? Okay. Move we follow the recommendation of Ms. Taylor and award the bid to New Growth Group in the amount of $47,500 for grant consultation services.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Ruby.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7E, discussion, consideration, and possible action on PC 2021-09, request for approval of a replat for property located at 1224 North First Avenue. Ms. Danielle.
Good evening. Yes, this is for a replat for the Dixon Park Apartments. Is kind of where that's at. It's off of First Street. What they're wanting to do is just kind of combine all the lots together. They own several lots that's kind of the south of the apartment complexes themselves, and they just want to have, the owners just want to have all the property on one lot, essentially, and that's what the replat is to do. So we're just here asking for your approval. The Planning Commission did recommend approval on this as well, and staff has the support staff supports the approval as well.
Any discussions or questions for Ms. Danielle? Call for a motion.
Motion to approve PC 2021-09, a request for a replat of property located at 1224 North First Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Record the vote, please.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Ruby.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Danielle. Number AF, the FAA Airport Coronavirus Response Grant, 2020 AC RGP. 1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to accept Federal Aviation Administration FAA Airport Coronavirus Response Grant Program ACRGP funds through the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, Public Law 116-260, CRRSAA, contingent upon receiving the anticipated ACRGP grant award in the amount of $23,000 to be utilized as reimbursement for costs related to operations, personnel, cleaning, sanitation, janitorial services, combating the spread of pathogens, and debt service payment for Durant Regional Airport, Acre Field, beginning July 1, 2020, C-2021-18 GC. Ms. Becca,
Hi, good evening.
I always know that you've got one coming up.
Lots, yes, ma'am. This is an FAA grant that is part of the coronavirus relief program. We have been allocated $23,000, and it can actually go back to January 2020, but with Ann Chin and John's input, with what is outstanding, and James Dalton, I apologize, that we need to supplement would be the personnel cost for the airport beginning July 1 through March. Of course, the costs exceed what we're actually being awarded, but that's what the $23,000 would be applied to.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Becca?
Have we really incurred this expense on personnel?
Yes, sir, it exceeds, yes, sir. It's, engine's probably not in here. It was like at least 3 times that, Danny. I just, cancel. Through that time frame, from July 1 through March.
Any other questions?
When you're ready to make a motion, and if you accept this grant, if you'd please make it contingent upon the award. This is how FAA asks us to proceed, is to ask council approval contingent upon an award.
Do we have a motion?
Contingent upon what, Becca?
Well, the funds have been allocated to the city, but FAA wants us to bring it before the council with an approval contingent upon the award document. It's coming. That's just,
I didn't understand your wording there first, but I got it now.
is that okay? Okay.
Do we have a
Move we
motion?
accept the Federal Aviation, how much of this do I need to say?
23,000?
Well, okay, to accept the Federal Aviation amount of $23,000 to be utilized as reimbursement contingent upon the award.
Try.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. We call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear? Councilmember Tomlinson?
Aye.
Councilmember Morris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham?
Aye.
Mayor Groby?
Aye, motion carries. Item number 2, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize city manager to sign all related grant award documents related to the ACRGP program funding, C-2021-18CGC. Any questions?
Move approval for the city manager to sign the related grant award documents.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson?
Aye.
Councilmember Morris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham?
Aye.
Mayor Groby?
Aye, motion carries. G, 2020 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Coronavirus Relief Program Award, 18114 CDBG-CR20 in the amount of $638,300 to be utilized for City of Durant eligible low to moderate income residential utility assistance, C-2021-19.
And this is the grant that we applied for to be utilized to assist the city's utility customers for any delinquent billing. And of course, they have to meet other income guidelines, and they have to had been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we were awarded the grant. We are going to be going through some training on the 19th. So there may be more information that we'll bring back to the council, but the city manager and Stephanie have identified how they're going to proceed with that process with the current employee. And so this is a unique opportunity for us. It is a 2-year grant period that we'll be able to benefit, and we're hoping approximately 1,000 customers, 1,000 households for the next 2 years. Any questions? I would like to state something just in case it comes up. Mayor, you received an award letter when this was awarded on April the 1st. And I noticed in the award letter that it's actually $683,300, but our grant contract is $638,300, and so that is the correct amount. So they just transposed the numbers, but what's in the agenda is the correct amount. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a motion or any discussion?
A motion to approve Coronavirus Relief Program Award 18114 CDBG-CR20 in the amount of $638,300 to utilize for assistance to low and moderate income families, C 2021-19.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Could we record the vote, please?
Councilmember Shear?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson?
Aye.
Councilmember Morris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham?
Aye.
Mayor Groby?
Aye, motion carries. Number 1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to accept the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Relief CDBG-CR Grant Award 18114 CDBG-CR20 from Oklahoma Department of Commerce in the amount of $638 to provide assistance for City of Durant eligible low to moderate income residential utility authorities impacted by the coronavirus pandemic, C-2021-19CG.
That's the one that you just voted, that item we just voted on,
Yeah,
correct?
so we can go on from there.
Yes, ma'am.
It said
Mhm,
twice,
mhm.
okay.
Yes.
All right, number 2, discussion, consideration, and possible action to adopt the residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan relating to the 18114 CDBG-CR20 CDBG 20 project.
And I actually have CDBG 20 in there twice. I apologize. That didn't need to be in there. This document is something that has to be approved each time that we receive a CDBG, an award, just stating that if the project were to relocate anyone, any household, that we would have to follow guidelines for that, but this project will not be an issue for any relocation matters.
Okay. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move we adopt the residential entitled placement and relocation assistance plan relating to the 18114 CDBG-CR20 project.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Please record the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Ruby.
Aye, motion carries. Number 3, consider approval to authorize the mayor to sign related grant award documents for the 18114 CDBG-CR20 project.
Make a motion, we approve
Okay. Any-
G3.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Ruby.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, and I'll step away for a minute. You
For
up
a
to the
minute.
next item.
Okay, item number H, discussion, consideration, and possible action on REVO 2021-02, a revocable permit for property located at 401 Clark Drive. Ms. Danielle.
Yes. This is our third revocable permit that we've had so far. This one is for Hardy Farms. They are asking for a revocable permit to build a building over, it's about a foot or so over onto an easement. There's an existing building there that there is a contract between the city and Hardy Farms for the previous building, and they're essentially adding on to that building. So it'll be the same footprint, only just a little longer. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, that you may have of this project.
I don't have a question about this, but on your forms, like where we were signing off, different department heads and all that, on the signature, why don't you put print or type the names in there too?
I
A
can
lot
certainly
of
do
these
that.
signatures, unless you recognize them and dealt with them, I can't read.
I can certainly do that, yes. I thought about that myself, actually. I looked at that tonight. It's like, oh, man, you can't read those.
Okay.
Yep, I'll certainly do that.
Any further discussion or call for the motion?
Move approval of the revocable permit, REV 02021-02.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Ruby.
Aye, motion carries. Number I, 17980 CDBG-20 SCADA Seal Bid Award, C-2020-68BA. Should I go ahead and read number 1 under there too, or?
Yes.
Okay, 1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve or reject construction bid award in the amount of $1,675,000 to Howard Construction, Inc. of Ardmore, Oklahoma, as identified in the sealed bid opening for water treatment plant improvements, including the SCADA system on March 10, 2021, at 2 p.m. related to the 2020 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Small Cities Program 17980 CDBG 20 C-2020-68BA.
You should try typing all those and worry that you're not
can
transposing. I should have actually, maybe I should have introduced before you went to the one, but the city did receive a grant last year for our regular small cities, and it was awarded in the amount of $152,222, and it's for the SCADA system. And Marty's here, and I'm going to let him come up and talk a little bit about that. And it's included as part of the overall water treatment plant improvements. And it's one bid, but it will be broken out specifically for the grant and as far as payments and reporting on the project. Marty, I'll let you.
Yeah, so the SCADA system is really a telecommunications system for the plant to communicate with the towers and vice versa. The grant is really just affecting the SCADA system part of this project, but the project is much broader than that. We bid it out as a scope of one project for $1.6 million. There are many things. You should have a bid sheet.
They have the bid tab.
Okay, that shows the individual items and how much each individual item. That's a lot of different projects we're doing at the plant, kind of in the scope of one universe. And the SCADA is a part of that, but because it's CDBG portion, we have a couple specific items on the agenda for that. It's not just accepting the bid, but we got to do the CDBG product. Any other questions?
Any questions for Marty?
The SCADA's been needed replaced for a long time. It's in rough shape, and so this is going to be a godsend for the water plant.
What is SCADA? That's abbreviation for what?
Supervisory control.
Supervisory computer aided. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know what it is. I was just wondering what it's an acronym for.
Well, I'd have to look it up, to be honest.
Okay.
Because this is replacing the controls, electrical and controls for the SCADA system.
Yeah.
Water plants have them, wastewater plants have them. They allow the towers to
Yeah.
communicate with
I mean, I know what it does. I was just curious of what it stood.
It's supervisory control and data acquisition.
Oh, there you go. You got it quicker than I did.
All right.
We got that.
We actually did some improvements on that in 2015 with
Yeah.
another CDBG grant on a smaller scale.
Smaller scale, yeah.
Any other questions? Are we ready for the motion?
Excuse me just a minute.
Make the motion, we accept the bid award C-2020-68BA.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Ruby.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 2, consider to authorize the mayor to sign all related construction contract documents contingent upon all required documents received and legal counsel approved. C-2020-68BA.
Make a motion, we approve the mayor's sign.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Could we call for the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Ruby.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number J, 17166, CDBG-ED 87 closeout for Steel Fab, Inc., Durant, Oklahoma. 1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to accept the 17166 CDBG-ED 87 project for water distribution and sewer collection infrastructure improvements benefiting Steel Fab, Inc. in Durant, Oklahoma as successfully complete.
I'm sorry, I was looking for there's my narrative. There is a sign-in sheet coming around for those in the public. If you would please sign, it's not a legal document or anything. It just shows that you attended and were here for the public hearing. This is an exciting day for us to be able to close out this project. In 2017, Steel Fab, which was a Charlotte, North Carolina company, selected Durant as a site to bring their company here. They originally were in Melissa, Texas, and at the end of 2018, they closed that plant. Thank you. While being operating here in Durant since 2018, they created 61 jobs of the 40. They proposed to create 49 jobs, and they created 61. And they are currently operating. I talked to their HR director, and they have 106 people on staff, and they need 20 more employees, as most people here in our area do. But they brought 40 of their employees here from Melissa, and then created the 61 jobs in addition. So they've maintained just about the same staffing that they started with. So that's great. It was a $1 million grant, and then the DIA contributed $180,000 towards the project. And let me look here just a second. We had a grant balance of $979.18 that we did not draw down. There was no other expenditure. And then DIA contributed, of the $180,000, it was about $156,000. I apologize, I don't have that exact number. The company invested, and that's required by the grant as the leverage or match. They contributed $14,305,000 for their building and their equipment and their getting their company operational. This project it was for water and sewer lines for our water and sewer, as well as some of the area within Rule 5, which we had a MOU with them and an interlocal agreement for that portion of the project. Of course, the project was to solicit low-income individuals for the jobs, and with the 61 jobs that Steel Fab did create, 69% of those were low to moderate income. So that they did meet their goal. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Becca? Or do we have a motion?
Move we accept the 17166.
There's no motion required, Councilman, on the public hearing.
We're not,
Oh, we
we're
were.
not in the public hearing.
Oh, mercy. We're not? Isn't that the agenda item? Where's my next page?
I think we're on the
Oh,
close. we're on
it
the
should be
closeout.
flipped. I apologize. And we need the public hearing first, so that we can vote on the next items, which are in J. So what can we do?
Okay, so we need to jump to A. Okay, we will now move into the public hearing portion. And number A, under public hearing for closeout of 17166 CDBG-ED 87 Community Development Block Grant, Economic Development Infrastructure Grant, C-2018-17 in the amount of $1 million for water distribution and sewer collection infrastructure improvements benefiting Steel Fab Inc. facility located at 446 Country Club Road in Durant, and the creation of 71 new jobs related to the grant project.
And Tom, there is a Scrivener error on that. It is supposed to be 61, okay?
Since we're not taking any action on it, there's no.
Well, and in the public,
amendment necessary.
yeah, and in the public hearing notice that I actually posted it on the website and around town, it does not have a number. It just said for job creations, so. And I apologize that I
So
didn't see that.
Are we still in the public hearing?
Well, yes, if you'll open it
Yeah,
up, you
I've
did.
opened it,
And
so-
then if there's any questions on that during this time, we already have the sign-in sheets, but
Is there any other questions? Anyone else wish to speak? Any other questions? Any other questions? Do we have a motion to close the public hearing? We don't need
You
a
can
motion.
just declare it.
Okay. We
And
will
excuse me
close the
for
public
interrupting
motion.
you, but Cindy, then those minutes would go to the public hearing. All that I just said all ago?
You want all that on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, are we through, or we got to go back to,
You do need to go back to J, yes,
And start
please.
over
And I
on J.
apologize. Yes.
do I need to read item 1 again?
Probably. Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't-
No, it's up to Tom.
Probably not. Jerry already made a
Made a
motion on
motion.
number 1, so I think he can just renew his motion and we can take up number 1 from there.
Okay.
I would like to make a comment on that, just for the record. The grant the grant contract began April the 2nd, and it's a 3-year grant when it's ED projects, so it completed April 2nd of this year. So I wanted that for the record. Okay.
Okay, we
I'll
have,
restate my motion
okay,
to accept the 17166 CDBG ED 87 project for benefiting Steel Fab is successfully complete on April the 2nd.
I'll second.
we have a motion, we have a second, call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number 2, discussion, consideration, and possible action on Resolution R-2021-09, referring to the public hearing for closeout of the 17166 CDBG-ED 87 project. 3, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the closeout documents for 17166 CDBG-ED 87 completion.
You'll need to take action on 2 for the resolution.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And that is a new document that Commerce asked that we have a resolution stating that the project was closed, or the closeout conducted today.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, any discussion? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve resolution R 2021-09 for closeout for CDBG ED 87.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. 3, discussion, are we there?
Yes, and I need to say something after you read that. Yes, ma'am.
You need to say something before I read it?
You can go ahead and then I
Okay.
can.
Discussion, consideration, and possible action on the closeout documents for 17166 CDBG-ED 87 completion.
Okay, yes, and I apologize that a while ago that I got that messed up. I'm sure it's because I'm no longer wearing a mask, and my eyes are readjusting. So, anyway, it is good. I found my face. Anyway, there are several documents that you have that were uploaded for the closeout. I would like to go through quickly each one of them so that we have it on record. The first one is your final expenditure report stating that all money was spent. And as I said earlier in the public hearing, the grant amount, the DIA portion, and the match that was completed with the business investment. The closeout certification is just stating that $999,020.82 is the total amount of the grant that was spent. And the final wage reports. I do have a correction. Were two contractors, W. Brown, and that did the water lines, and then Sooner Site was the sewer, the lift station, as well as the sewer collection lines. And what this is stating is that we have to make sure that all of the employees of these companies are paid according to the federal wage rates. And so on W. Brown, which you have in your, that was uploaded, there was one employee that I missed, I knew about, but I just missed putting it on here, that actually was paid restitution by the company. And it was for $1,015.94. And I have a copy of the check that the company issued in late 2019. So it's nothing new, but this is accurate, and if you want to see it, I will pass it around for your viewing. Anybody want a copy? Okay. And then the other final wage compliance is for Sooner Site. There were no issues, and so each of them have a document. You don't have to approve them individually. And then the certification of completion, I have the engineer's certificate of approval of their closeout, both for Sooner Site and W. Brown. Let's see. And then the summary 3 report is just documenting that, our section 3 summary, that neither of the companies were section 3. And what that means is that they did not have anyone in their company that they were striving for low to moderate income employees. They did not have them. They were not going to hire any new ones that would qualify for that. And I think that is it. Any questions on those? It's a lot of information.
No questions. Thank you, Beck.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, we have no new business. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
You need to accept the closeout documents as
What I need to do?
number 3.
Huh?
Make a motion to accept the closeout documents for 17166 CDBG-ED87.
Second.
We have a motion. Did you second it, Mike?
Yes.
Sorry. We have a motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
Now, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
There's no business. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Shear,
Aye.
Councilmember Tomlinson,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brittingham.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. We are adjourned out of the city council meeting. Before we move into the Durant City Utility Authority, Councilman Tomlinson has asked to say a few words, so Councilman Tomlinson, you have the floor.
Thank you. I think most folks are aware, but for those that may not be, I just concluded my last city council meeting. After 23 years of serving this good city, 4 as a council member, 2 as a vice mayor, and 17 as mayor. It's been an honor to have served with all of you. I kind of was interested as I thought about some things today, and I think in the last 23 years in serving on the council, serving on the Durant Industrial Authority Board, and chairing that for a number of years, serving on the DCFA, the Durant Community Facilities Authority, and then chairing that for a number of years, and more recently serving on the Cemetery Board, and through all those years serving also as a representative for the city on the Chamber Board. Well, I came up with something like more than 1,700, but maybe less than 2,000 meetings that I probably participated in that time frame. And I have no idea of the hours, but I would suspect some 2,000 to 3,000 hours in participating in those meetings. That's the equivalent of a full work year for those of you in HR that know the numbers there. But it's been an honor again to participate and be at the table in a lot of things that have occurred in the last 23 years. I think I've participated personally in 6 elections for my seat and 12 elections for an entire council. I took a minute to also jot down some folks I've served with that I think is worth mentioning. Paul Bunce was the city manager when I came on board, and then Jim Dunnigan for a few years, and then a couple of temporaries, not temporaries, but short time, Donnella Miller and Sarah Scher. Then we had Tim Rundle, and now we have Mr. John Dean. And it was an honor to serve with those folks. I'm going to mention some of the names that council members I've served with, and J.C. Curtis, Ron Reed, Mike Patterson, David Norris. Many of you know Ron Cross, Ivan Kelly. I think our first lady serving on the council, Joyce Northcutt. Dr. Polson, Jerry Polson, Bobby Story, David Burridge, my colleague here, Tom Markham, Mike Deals, not only this colleague, but his father, Mr. Leon Scher, and Bill Orr, Mike Deals, longtime educator, Chad Hitchcock, Destry Hawthorne, Stuart Hoffman, of course, the current council members. A lot of good things have happened in 23 years. And again, I was honored to be at the table and have the opportunity to play some role, whether it was very small or usually small, but it was an honor and to be at the table with folks like we just talked about, Steel Fab, Cardinal Glass, Big Lots, CMC, Eagle Suspension, Bruce Pack, the Tile Shop, Webstron, streetscapes that we completed 3 good streetscapes, and I think we still have one in the works, and had the opportunity to be involved in those. We also had the opportunity to have one of the few, I think I'm getting a soccer score from my granddaughter. And we're behind 0-1. But our new high school, our new Durant High School, was a sales tax initiative that they brought before the city council, and then the council brought it, put it on the ballot for the citizens to consider. We remodeled the city hall, and I think we can all be proud of this facility. I know that this building is probably nearing 90 years old, and it's pretty well ADA compliant today and more modern, and I'm proud that we were able to do that. A new library. I hope I don't bore you with these, but it's just a real testimony to the service of council members and city managers over the years that these things have occurred. But a new fire department, a new police department, a remodel of that old police department that kept the Department of Public Safety licensing and driver's testing here. They were about to pull out, which would have not been good. The new sports complex and that southeastern initiatives with a quarter-cent sales tax. A couple of really neat remodels on our swimming pool. And it's a real joy to see. Kind of a nightmare, I think, for lifeguards and the pool manager, but 400 and 500 kids participate almost on a daily basis during the summer months. But hey, those are just a few of the things that this city and city council members and city managers have undertaken to improve the quality of life we enjoy here. And again, I have been honored and blessed. Faced some real challenges over the years. Some votes that were tough. Didn't always make everybody happy, but always tried to do the right thing. But there's some really good things going on here. And I wish nothing but the best, Godspeed for the city of or the future of our city. Thank you all for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Councilman Tomlinson, thank you for your service to this city. You'll never be forgotten. We will now move to the Durant City authorities. It is 7:09. We'll call to order the meeting of the Durant City authorities, and would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here. We have a quorum. First order on the agenda is the consent items, which number B will need to be approved. Well, wait a minute. Consent items. No, that doesn't need to be approval. The minutes. Well, yeah, the minutes. We need to have the minutes approved on the, under consent items. We don't need to approve that second one, do we? Both of them? Okay, under consent items, number A, consider approval of regular meeting minutes of March 9, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent items.
Yeah, we'll do both. A second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Clerk, please record the vote.
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson, Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion approved. We can do the second. Information items. Okay, information items, if there's any questions, you may ask. These are different reports. If anyone has any questions about any of the reports or any comments, you may do so at this time. If not, we'll move on to item number 4, administration. Discussion, consideration, and possible action on contract C 2021-17 with Watersmart Software, Inc. to provide a customer portal and analysis tool for our automatic meter reading, advanced metering infrastructure, AMR, AMI, system and declaring sole source. Mr. Marty?
All right, is that my mic, Byron? You can turn this one off and I can talk loud if I need to. Okay. This Watersmart software program is something we've always had in mind to go with our AMR, AMI project. It is a customer portal. It allows them to self-serve themselves and watch their bill and check for leaks and get notifications. We can do mass notifications with it as well. If we're going to shut down water in an area, we can highlight that. It also is an analysis tool for us on the back end so that we can monitor those water bill accounts and things as well. I will be honest with you, I will probably not use this software. I'm not selling this for me. This is for your utility office. They're going to have the most hours in it. And we've got the recommendation, myself and Stephanie Barfield have sat through a couple demos, asked a lot of questions, and we've got the recommendation from the utility office. This is the customer portal they'd like to use. We have the recommendation from our engineer on the project overall, who's Brandon Wall. He says that this will fit nicely with the Neptune system we have. This group has worked with Neptune a lot of times. They have also have experience in 17 different cities, I think it was, with Encode. And so they know the challenges we're going to face, and they have let us know that they intend on putting this together and getting it up and running without hindering the development of the Neptune system and the AMI system. It should cooperate and go together well together. Originally, we thought we were still 6 or 7 months out on meter installation. It looks like now we're only going to be about 3 or 4 months out on meter installation, which is good. We're ahead of schedule, but we were waiting on this to make sure that it's what we wanted, and it's time to pull the trigger. This started out, well, 2 things. And I gave you the quote that is part of the contract that we're actually going to read. I've been working with him a little bit already. If we wait till after April, so if we do this today, we're good, right? If we wait till after April, it would actually go up to $36,000 for the first year as part of the contract. If we did it during April, it was going to be 31, and now we've negotiated down to where I think it's 26,270 on the total order. That's year 1. Now the next 4 years are $12,000, $13,000, and $14,000. If you see that quote, those are annual subscription. So we wouldn't pay all that up front. We're just going to pay the $26,000 up front would be the primary payment. The contract also leads to a terminology, and Tom, you've read this, I believe. We went through it. On item 1 of the terms and conditions, it says, because we can't guarantee money beyond this year, right? We've had that discussion before. It says this 60-month contract subject to annual appropriation of funding by the Durant City Council. So if you don't appropriate the funding, there's an out on the contract. You're not stuck in it for the 5-year contract. We'd probably have to do some legal work to make all that functional, but we wanted to make sure that wording was in there and available. I have a PowerPoint. The gentleman, he misunderstood and thought we were having a Zoom meeting, and so I said, well, can you get here? And he said, well, I'm in California. So he wasn't going to be able to make it. I have a PowerPoint if you're interested in it. I don't want to waste your time if you're not, to be honest. You have most of the slides in your packet. And if you've read through those, then you probably already understand it. Anyway, if you would like more clarification, I have no problem going through the PowerPoint with you.
Marty, didn't we approve something like this when we got the system in the first place? Wasn't that one of the selling points that we could have this software included?
Yeah, the selling point was that we could buy a software to go with it, but it was never part of the original purchase. Because to be honest, we were still vetting out some other customers on software. What we did discover is Neptune was supposed to come out with one, and we kind of wanted to see what that looked like. They haven't yet, and they won't. They're telling us now maybe fall or winter. Well, that's too late. We need to roll this out with the new system. That way the customers will get the most benefit out of it. And so we didn't purchase this with the original bid price. We always expected we would purchase something like this eventually to go along with it. And it's really just now's the time. Plus, the annual service agreement wouldn't have been part of the original bid price anyway. Might have got the build out on it, but.
So what are we looking to get it installed? Does it have, do we have to buy machines to run it on?
No, it's just software.
Just software.
They're going to build it for us. It's going to have all of our addresses and bills and all of our charges and fees. And then the customer can log on their phone. There's an app for it. And there's also computer software that we can use in the office on normal desktop computers. It's all web-based, so it's really easy. It's pretty functional, to be honest.
Well, if we spend $1 zillion for meters, this is like pocket change. I mean,
I agree.
That's what you guys want. I'm say let's get it.
I'm of the, and there's a little money left in the account that we have the loan for the meters. Not that we want to try to use it all up, but I think this is a very wise purchase to go along with it. I think the customer gets something out of this, and it's going to help them understand our smart meters better as well.
We'll be able to read them from the office too, right?
Yes.
We can't do that without the software.
Oh, no, we will still be reading the meters from the office.
Okay.
This is, again, to provide further analytics, so we can run reports annually, biannually, however we decide to, and we can set up notifications. We can do mass notifications. I can take a map and circle this area and say, you're going to have your water cut off for the next 20 minutes or whatever. And then again, the customer side, because right now with what we would have on the base program without this, there is no customer portal.
So if we approve this, what do we cough up initially? 30,000, did you say? Or?
It's 26,000 today, and then 12 or 13,000 a year after that. And it's based on a meter count, and it's
Yeah.
also based on a 3% growth. I mean, obviously, they got to make money.
Marty, I noticed in the slide shows that, and I don't know that we have that capability or not, or if we're going to, but it had an option to pay your bill. Is that going to be something they're going to be able to do? Or?
They told us they could. I don't know if they're familiar with our web pay. That's something I've got to get them here to talk with Stephanie, because I'm not familiar with our web pay either. But most of those softwares can interact with other softwares. I'm sure there's other cities using that same web pay, whatever it's called. But yeah, that is a primary option as well.
Okay. And then the annual subscription fee is based on $2 an account?
Yeah.
Or I guess
So
mostly
it was
$6,300.
$2.
It was for 6,300 accounts initially.
Yeah. It was $2.06 account, and then I got them down to $2 account. I'm a tough negotiator.
Yeah.
Hey, 6 cents on 6,000 accounts means something, so.
And that's what the city's paying, the 12,000 and some, that's not passed to the customer.
Right. At this point, we really feel the revenue that we will make up for with the smart meters will still be profitable in paying for this annually.
Any other questions for Marty? Are we ready to call for the motion?
I move we invoke contract C-2021-17 with Watersmart Solutions to provide this software.
Second.
Would the clerk please record the vote?
Trustee Shear. Trustee Tomlinson.
Aye.
Trustee Morris.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Marty. Number 5, there's no new business. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Will the clerk please record the vote?
Trustee Shear.
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson.
Aye.
Trustee Morris.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned out of the Utilities Authority. It is,
Can you give me just a moment?
Sure.
And I'll switch meetings here.
too fast for.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, it is 7:21. We are now in session, the Durant Airport Authority We are now called to order. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Tomlinson.
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here, we do have a quorum. Under order of business, number 1, consent item. Number A, consider approval of regular meeting minutes of March 9, 2021.
Can't we just motion to approve all of them? I move we approve the consent items.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion, we have a second. Would the secretary please call the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number 3, information items, Airport Manager Monthly Report, March 2021. Mr. James?
Council, Mayor, Mr. White couldn't be here tonight. A copy of his report is in with your packet. If you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer those. Our fuel sales have increased somewhat, and I think that is in your report as well. And so if you have anything else you'd like to ask, I'll be happy to answer those for you.
I do have some questions.
Go ahead, sir.
On the fuel tank installation, looks like there's a mix-up between the engineering of the pad and the engineering of the tank. They've got too much tilt on it. And who's gonna take care of that?
They came back and that both sides have said that is within normal. So has the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. They did a site visit last week, and there will not be an adjustment on the tilt.
Looks a little bit odd.
It looks a little odd, doesn't it?
Yes, it
sir.
does.
Mhm. It's a 4-inch.
How did that happen?
The engineer, when they went out and did the pad for it, they built for a slope so that water would not stand there or fuel would not stand. And then when the tank was built, it too has 2 different stands that goes up underneath onto that pad. And again, those were designed to have a tilt to them. And they say they're within normal on those, on both of those.
So what we have here is a failure to communicate between the engineering firm and the tank manufacturer.
Both of which say they're within normal, and the Oklahoma Corporation Commission has been out and looked at it, and they too say it's within normal range.
What about the leaks?
Leaks are still there. This has been not a good experience with either the consultant nor with the provider of the tank, which is Innovative Fuel Solutions. We're continuing to work with that. They are going to have a crew from the tank manufacturer here on Monday to re-pipe where the leaks are on that tank. And hopefully by then, we can start to vend fuel.
James, well, just kind of a curiosity question, and I'm understanding angles here.
Yes, sir.
But within specs, I'm hearing you say too.
That
okay.
is correct.
But does that lend itself to what you might refer to as dead fuel?
That is correct. The intake for the tank is in the middle of the tank, and it will allow some gallons not to be used,
But not a,
Which-
okay.
but it's not out of spec.
It just looks odd.
It looks really odd. Yes, sir, it does. Yeah. This hasn't been a pleasurable experience. And I'll just be flat honest with you. We don't think either party has performed well. We, again, want it to be a functional system, and we're hoping to get to that. Again, we are 5 months off schedule of what we were originally told, or
We
almost
can't-
5 months. We were told they would be complete 12/2 of 20.
We can't get the tank or somebody to raise that low end up so it doesn't look
Two before under.
like a ski slope.
They would have to, my understanding is, they would have to come back in. They would have to remove the saddle on the closest to the parking lot end and put a different saddle up under it,
Yeah,
or build up the concrete, one of the two.
we're gonna be looking at that for a long time.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
We can't hold somebody responsible to,
We can
do that.
litigate it, and I know, I plan on talking with the city attorney about possible litigation because they have not met their timetable. We have tried to work with them, understanding the COVID situation, but we do not feel like we have gotten the best service that we should have.
Of either party. the
No, sir, we
engineering
didn't-
company or the,
No, sir, we do not feel like we have. We've tried to battle through it and get operational as quick as possible because it affects our bottom line significantly, and it's an inconvenience for our customers who are coming in not to be able to then fuel anytime, day or night.
yeah.
So we're not happy with either of the two parties involved's performance.
James?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
White refers in his report to charging liquidating damages
That's
Based on
exactly
this.
right.
at $1,000 a day? Is what-
Yes, sir,
is
that,
the contract
we
says?
have that capability, and I'd like to visit with our city attorney about that because I think it's warranted. We've been more than patient with them, with both parties, more than patient, more than understanding. And we feel like there is an opportunity there to recoup some of that.
Well, even though it's within specs, I still feel like we paid a good price for this. And to have it look like a ski slope instead of a
Yes, sir.
normal installation, I think we should try to correct that.
I'll move forward with that with the counselor.
I mean, somebody messed up. They didn't communicate. I mean, they both built the slope in.
It's not a good job, but it is within specs according to the engineers.
Any other questions for James?
I do, on the fuel service provider, we've not signed a agreement with them yet
We
because
signed a one-year agreement. They're wanting us,
there's something about, the pilots and the companies, they've got an incentive program and they can't take advantage of that without this agreement being signed.
no, the original agreement we signed was 1 year with Titan Fuel, which was also Shell
Titan,
Fuel at the time. Once they get the software operational with Titan Fuel, they should be able to get their discounts in. Now, Titan is wanting to do some incentives for us to help with improvements at the airport, to increase the amount of discounts that these pilots will get. But they want us to do a 5-year deal with them, a 5-year contract.
Is there any reason why we should not?
No, sir, not in my opinion. They've done a good job. The reason we signed a 1-year deal with them originally, this was a new vendor for us. We did not know this vendor. We did not know how they were going to perform. We did not know if they were going to be what they said they were. They have worked really well with us. We are well pleased with them. On the other hand, in the fact that they've allowed us to have a 2006, I believe it is, 1,000-gallon avgas fuel truck so we could fuel our customers at no charge.
Right.
And they have honored that with us. And we are impressed with them. They have, at any time we've called them, they have responded. And they've responded in a prompt manner. And we like doing business with them. But the reason we did not extend beyond 1 year was we needed to see if that was who we wanted to end up with and see what incentives were available to us on the long term.
Are we intending to sign a 5-year?
I would like to bring that to you. My concentration has been getting this fuel system up and running, to be honest with you. That's been our immediate goal. As you well know, that has been a real inconvenience for our airport. And so we've concentrated more on that than anything else, getting that. One other item that's in the report that you might see, we have completed the grant on the second windsock that is on this more toward the south end of the airport. Once we extended the runway, all the extension on the runway, the 1,800 foot, all went to the south end. So what normally happens at an airport is the windsock is at what they call midfield, which is the middle part of the runway. That way it can be seen from either end. When we added the 1,800 foot onto the south end of the runway, it made it more difficult for them to view the windsock. So what we did was we were able to secure a grant, and because it was within COVID, within the COVID declaration period, we were able to get that second wind cone down more toward the south end of the airport, and it cost us $1 to get that done. So the rest was absorbed in FAA grant money and then subsidized by the COVID money. So we did come out well on that, and that has been completed.
Okay. Thank you, James.
You are very welcome.
Okay, number 4, A, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a general service agreement with KSA Engineering.
Okay, in your packet is a general service agreement. As you well know, and I know Danny participated in this as a council representative, we were looking for RFQ requirement for qualification for a new airport consultant. We felt like that we maybe could do a little better than we've done in the past, and we wanted to look and see who all was out there. And so we asked for RFQs. We solicited those. We did receive 7 of those. We went and looked at their recommendations. We looked at the information. We decided to pick 4 that we thought were the top 4 firms that might improve service to us. We brought those 4 in an interview process. We asked them all the same questions, basically, and we tried to be really thorough with that. As a result of that, we selected KSA Engineering to be the engineering firm that we want to go with in the future. Some of the reasoning for selecting them is they have worked for the city in the past. They did a good job for us in the past. They were very approachable. One of their members, co-owners, actually lives in our service area, actually lives at the south end of the runway. We thought that was a plus for us to be able to have that. And the fact that they had worked for us before, we felt like the discovery work that a new firm would have to do would be a whole lot less, because they've already been here, they've already looked at us, they already know kind of where we are. They were well recommended from the different firms or the different airports we talked with. They came well recommended to us. This GSA that we have before you I've submitted it to our attorney, Mr. Markham. He's reviewed that. We made one or two minor corrections in it, and our recommendation is to move forward with accepting this general service agreement with KSA Engineering. We are not bound. Normally, a general service agreement is for 5 years, but we are not bound to that agreement. If we decide later on that we don't feel like we're getting the service that we should, we can exit out of that GSA. Okay? I do have Michael Mitchell here from KSA. If you have any questions for him, he, again, lives locally. We think that is very advantageous for us, and so if you have any questions specifically about KSA's general service agreement, we'd be happy to take those.
I'll say, having set in through the review process, interview process, you've put a lot of time into it.
Yes, sir.
Pretty extensive.
Yes, sir. A bunch.
Yeah.
Between that and the fuel tank, it's been a hard year. Yes, sir.
Any other questions, or are we ready for a motion?
Make a motion to accept the general service agreement with KSA Engineering.
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Will the secretary please call the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
James, could you introduce us to Mr. Mitchell, please?
Yes, I will. Mike, would you come up? Like I'd said, Mike Mitchell had actually been with KSA when we did our hangar study about 2 or 3 years ago. He actually worked with Marty Cook, and when we brought that recommendation forward from KSA, Mike also has an aircraft. He rents a hangar from us, so he has a lot of knowledge of our airport. And again, like I say, he lives near our airport. So, but Mike, would you like to go ahead and just kind of let them know?
Sure. I'm Michael Mitchell with KSA. Like James said, we did the market study for the hangars. I believe it was in 2017.
That's correct.
Which went really well, and we've implemented some good changes there. Like James said, I have an airplane based at the field. I live just south of the airport, about a half mile. And we're excited to get started with the airport and helping you guys reach your goals.
We have developed a temporary vision of a 2026 vision for what our airport's going to look like. We have worked extensively also with OAC and the director there, Grayson Arties, in the fact that we are looking with them how we're going to fit in the whole airport system for both Oklahoma and the federal system as well. We are targeting to, within a short period of time, to have a meeting that is kind of a town hall meeting. And we want to present that vision to you as our leadership. We also want to present that to our stakeholders. We have over 90 aircraft based at our airport. We have 48 hangars that the city owns, and there is at least one aircraft in every one of those. We have a large corporate hangar that's leased out that has about 5 aircraft in it. Choctaw Nation has 3 aircraft. The university has 21 aircraft based at our airport. Those are tenants for us. So that it is a busy, busy airport. Some of the information that we've been able to derive is we now have the 8th longest runway in the state of Oklahoma as far as an airport goes. we are capable of handling today commercial aircraft on that runway as we sit today. Any of the smaller commuter aircraft that American Eagle flies, the Mitsubishi, the Embraers, the Saabs, can come into our airport today, land there today. So we feel like we're moving in the right direction. We've got a lot of work to do, but we do feel like we're going in the right direction.
Thank you all.
Mike, I'm glad to have you on board. I'm going to put you on the spot.
No problem.
Right. What would you do?
What's that?
Since you're now our engineer, what would you do about the 100 octane low lead tank?
Well, James
Looking
has
like
done
a ski slope.
James has done a good job, and I think we'll get a resolution to that and get it fixed. Luckily, it was within specs, so it wasn't something that's going to cause any long-term issues with the fuel, which is obviously getting back to selling fuel is huge. Been down for a long time, so it'll be nice for the pilots to be able to go sell fuel and kind of relieve some of that stress on John and his crew. So.
You think we ought to leave it sitting like that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's in spec, I mean, I agree, when I first saw it, it does look a little abnormal, but, as long as it's not causing any detrimental issues with the fueling system, it's really up to the council how they want to handle it.
I've never seen an automobile with a tank that wouldn't drain all the gas out of it. If that spigot's in the middle, it's a non-functioning tank, in my opinion.
Sure. And they're meant to have a little bit of slope to them. Obviously, the fuel sender is forward of the back aft section of the fuel tank. Should any sediment or anything get in the tank, it would settle in the back, and that unusable fuel, would then not be pumped into the aircraft. So it is a little bit of a safety feature as well.
Okay,
Anything else?
thank y'all very
Thank you.
much.
All right, thank you, guys.
We need a motion for adjournment out of the airport authority.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would the secretary record the vote?
Trustee Shear,
All right.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, we are now adjourned out of the airport authority.
I have to sign everyone in and out.
I'm sorry, that's okay. That's all right, I can wait.
That's what's taking me some time here.
All right. Okay, it is now 7:45, and the Durant Development Authority is now in session. Would the secretary call the roll?
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Tomlinson.
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here. We do have a quorum under order of business, consent item. Do we have a motion on item A to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of March?
Make the motion, we approve the minutes, March
We-
9.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Chair, just a note, I think the minutes are actually from the January meeting. On the agenda, it says March. If I'm not mistaken, I think the meetings are actually from the January.
I will make a note of that.
Okay,
Do we need to reword that?
I think it's okay. but
Okay.
Just for note.
Okay. We had a motion and a second, I believe. So, Would the secretary record the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson, Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham,
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
Aye, motion carries. We have nothing under anything else, no information items, no administration, no new business. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion for adjournment. Do we have a
Second.
second? We have a motion, we have a second. Would the secretary please call the vote?
Trustee Shear,
Aye.
Trustee Tomlinson,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Brittingham.
Aye.
Chairman Groby.
We are now adjourned. Thank you all so much for being here.